Hi, my name is Aggie Christopher, and welcome to Journey for You. Today's segment, I thought that I would do something a little bit different that I will do from time to time, is I will be bringing a guest in that has had firsthand experience with, understanding the mindset and the lifestyle that I've put together and that I've lived all my life, and that I have had the ability to share with a number of people over the years. So with that being said, I will turn it over to Tomoki Gomez. And thank you, Tomoki, for being here with me today. What I'm going to start off with is asking you, what made you decide to come into the gym that day, and maybe a little bit about, your experiences since then.
So that day, actually, my sister-in-law offered to take me to a class. I actually had no idea what kind of class. She said had to do something with fitness and that I would really enjoy it. Me, being a type of person that doesn't really like to do anything new, because I know my characters, I like to invest myself into things. So I'm very cautious as what I do. So I said, okay, sure, I'll give it a shot. And so I came into the gym, and of course, that's when I met you first. And at the time, I didn't think much about it. I thought it was just, a kickboxing class where it looked like a nice group of women. And of course, you were there to teach us. But as I experienced the first class, something registered into me. It's something very different that I've never experienced in my life. And I think it had to do with giving me a space where I could focus on something that was quite unique for me, because at the time, with my lifestyle and what was going on in my life, it was very loud. It was very, in a way, for the lack of a better term, chaotic. So it gave me a space to really focus on something for myself.
So after that first class, when you came in, what kind of expectations did you have? Did you like the class? Did you think, okay, well, I'm going to go back? What made it different that you decided that you would, do a second, third, and then, of course, I think that we've known each other now for about a year and a half, so.
So it had an immediate impact on me. So after the first class, I was elevated. I went from 0 to 100. I think for that experience, that particular class for me was, now that I look back at it, quite life-changing in many different aspects. And the fact that it gave me, like I was saying, gave me a space to consider myself. And then from there, I realized that it was actually building on a relationship between me and you that at the time I didn't really understand and notice. But as the years went by, the second class, the third class, what had happened was we would go into a class together, which we would, of course, kick and punch and maneuver and train ourselves. And then we would kind of reach a different kind of state of mind. And then from there, we actually had these kind of conversations, me and you. And at the time, I think it was just conversations because we both enjoyed each other's company. And from there, here we are a year and a half, and it's had a tremendous impact on my life.
So what did you find to be the largest change? Did you find, because martial arts, a lot of people I think are intimidated by martial arts, and I think that in the beginning you were as well. So what did you find to be different in the way of, maybe I taught the class, or the way you reacted to not only the way I was breaking the class down, but maybe some of the stories that I would tell to help people, to have everybody understand that everybody, when they come into classes, like in life, everybody is at different levels. So therefore you need to go in and just do yourself, as opposed to compare to what the rest of the class is doing.
I think for me, I think I made this comment when I first went to the gym. I felt like I landed on Mars. I think I said that. I was like, this is a very different territory for me. Although fitness was part of my life, it wasn't to this degree. I think what I did appreciate about the gym is because it was very personal. I think with your teaching, you paid attention to us individual. Although it was a group dynamic, every time you came and you worked on us through each station, you kind of really paid attention. And I'm the type of person where human connection for me is at the forefront of anything that I do. That's where trust is built. And so I think that genuine sense of you really kind of reaching out to us and saying, I want to see you do better. You can actually do it. Just hang in there. Hold in, I think you used to say, okay, hold it for 10 more seconds, and that's going to pay off for the rest of your day. And I think those little things that you said were very personable to me, and I think that's what that had a lot of effect for me. That's what made me continue with that class.
When did you find that a shift was happening? Because I think when my son Ryan and his business partner started Coquitlam Martial Arts in Coquitlam, I think that for me, within that first year of me doing martial arts, was where I really found that there was a more intense shift, and where I was really feeling like the mind, body, and spirit were connecting. What did you find?
Yeah, I think initially it was intriguing to me because it gave me a space to do something for myself. Being a mother of 2 boys, my involvement with work, just daily life, it's hard to sometimes put yourself in the forefront. And I think initially that's what attracted me to martial arts. And then it started to slowly evolve. I mean, in the beginning, it was very difficult, it was challenging. But for me, I find opportunity in a challenge always. And so as I was going through the motions, I would notice every week something would click, something would open up, there would be new challenges. So I think for me, martial arts has really changed me in a way where it gave me not only a level of fitness, but it also gave me a place to enter in where there was concept behind it. And so for me, I've never approached anything through fitness to then, how do I explain this? For going from fitness to then building my mentality to then entering to my spirit. That wasn't the path that I was usually on. So it was quite intriguing because at this moment I was quite open to that idea. And then I remember you having a conversation with me saying, no, Tomoki, fitness is probably the most important thing in terms of taking care of yourself. From there, you will find a shift in your mentality. And when your mind changes, then it comes back into your spirit, and it's that cycle. And I think for me, that concept really stuck. And that's when I started to say, okay, there's something here. There's commitment here.
So what would you say is the largest benefit that you've seen from, starting the martial arts, having where things are connecting, and then being able to shift it into your day-to-day, your personal life, and also into your professional life?
I think, the result of just feeling stronger physically has a huge impact on your mental state, on your self-value. I think that's one of the first conversations that we ever had, is knowing your value. Now, you can say that to someone, and it could not really have that much impact, but when you're saying it to someone after they've worked out intensely for an hour, you begin to understand what that means, and whether it's through just physically feeling stronger, that starts to really have an impact on your confidence and your level of who you are. And for me, I was at a very pivotal point in my life where I needed to make a change in my life. I knew that for many years. I knew that my path was beginning to be a little bit blurry. And I needed a friend, and not just a friend, but someone that had a sense of value of themselves to reach out and say, it's okay. It's okay to think about yourself. It's okay to bring value in yourself. Be your own best friend. Understand that. And I think that was the biggest pivotal moment that I received from martial arts and through our friendship.
Well, I think, one of the things that I do understand, because there's a lot of people, especially, in our day-to-day lives, when we're parents, when we're wives, when we're workers, A lot of times as a mother, we leave ourselves off the list. So everybody else gets taken care of, and then whatever's left over, we do for us. And that's a wrong way of thinking, because if you're not strong, if you're not healthy, if you're not mentally fit, it's very difficult for you to be of value to somebody else. And that's where the value comes in. And value comes in many different ways. It is, knowing that you're good at something and then understanding the value of that and then being able to communicate that value. But I think that what happens to a lot of people, especially we get busy day to day, looking after kids, the stresses of life in general, and we do forget about ourselves. And that's why when I do see, there's many people that hold such large responsibilities, very, very responsible positions in life that don't work out. I don't even know how they survive, because what sets the tone and what's always set the tone in my life has been the fitness. And that's how I'm able to do the kinds of things and was able to do the kinds of things to, raise a family with my husband, to be a good partner to my husband, to be able to build a company myself. And I think that that's where it's extremely important. And, I think that, one of the things that in our conversation throughout, I think it was probably 6 months into our relationship, that you had come to me with some business questions. And, I certainly felt quite honored that you wanted to come and get some advice from me. But I think that, knowing that and seeing that you were searching and that you were able to feel comfortable enough to be able to come and ask that. And, I would like you to maybe, if you can, share a little bit about how that shift on the personal and the business side, where you kind of felt that, okay, the martial arts had helped you in order to make that next step.
Yeah, definitely. I think at that, like I said, I think at that point in my life, I didn't actually expect all this to happen, to be honest. I had no itinerary. I had no expectations the first day I came into the martial arts class. And also with my relationship with you. But the more I got to understand you, and the more that we spent some time together, and it really organically grew. It wasn't anything contrived. It wasn't anything forced upon. But what I began to see is that there was different layers of you. I always say you're super multifaceted, not only because you're someone who follows their path, but also because you've raised 2 little boys. And during that time, you yourself has started your own business. And these are many things that were very similar to my life at this stage. And so it gave me an opportunity to see someone that could really understand a lot of the difficulties and challenges that I was in. So I remember it was kind of, it wasn't thought out much. I think it was just, there was a very difficult decision that actually kind of put me in a difficult position, because having made that decision, it would almost take me into a direction that I wasn't comfortable with. And so I needed someone to speak to that didn't really have any investment in that decision, except to genuinely see me make the right decision. And you just happened to be there. And like I said, it was never planned. And so I remember reaching out to you. And I think the part when our relationship really grew is that you didn't hesitate. You said, all right, let's go. And for me to be surprised at the fact of how sincere and genuine you were, in hindsight, makes me think of the situation that perhaps I was in. So I remember we went for coffee, we talked over it. You spoke to me, you laid it down very, very simple. You have this choice or that choice. And from then, I was able to make my decision. It was a decision I was confident about. It was a decision that, of course, was considered, but it also didn't put myself at risk. And I think at that moment, I felt like a lot of the decisions weren't perhaps the decisions that I was comfortable making. And I just needed someone to reach out a hand and say, you know what, it's okay. It's okay that you do that. And yeah, that's where it all grew.
So how are you finding, like, I mean, one of the things that I find, and I go to the gym every day, I train, whether I'm training by myself or whether I'm training, with a partner that I'm with all the time. For me, it's my lifeline. It's what keeps me grounded. It's what has me relieve the stress, the day-to-day stress. It, makes my mind clear, and I'm able to break things down, and I'm able to see things certainly a lot clearer than I would without the physical fitness. And as I say, I mean, I go to the gym every day, depending on, how much time I have, whether it's an hour or an hour and a half. And for me, it's what allows me to be able to sleep better, certainly eat better, and certainly be able to be a lot more productive, and I think to be of a benefit to people. How are you finding?
Oh, it completely changes me. It's a huge part of my daily routine now. I mean, I look back and I think, how did I function or make decisions that I have to make without having that component of fitness in my life? I think it's very, very impactful in the way you make decisions, in your mindset. It sets the tone. I find that it also is a great way for you to be focused on something. It's a great way to give yourself a space to reconsider, readjust, and to respond to things instead of reacting to things. My husband and I always joke and say that, we're completely different people after we work out. And I genuinely believe it, because like I said, I wasn't someone that was, a fitness fanatic. It wasn't something that I did. I didn't pay attention to that side. But for me, genuinely, it's absolutely a critical part of my day.
One of the things, and as I've said, I've always been a person to work out. I've always been a fitness person, from the time that I could run. I've, done every sport going when I was in my teenage years, and throughout the years, when there was the fitness classes or, personal trainer or running, whatever that was. I did it because, first of all, I love activity, but also because of the fact that I knew that it was a way of life. For me, it was just a totally different shift when I went into the martial arts. And, when I started with martial arts, it was really to help my son because he and a business partner had opened a martial arts studio. And I was their first student and wanted to be able to help them with a bit of cash flow, so it made sense. As time went on and I really became addicted to it, and the reason why I think is because it really works every muscle in your body, from your toe to your brain. And there's not a lot of activity that will do that for you. And the nice part that I like about it, especially when you start getting into more of the advanced, is the combos, because it really works your brain, and it's really great for your brain power. And especially as we age, it's what's important to make sure that we're looking after our brain and that we are doing the kinds of things to keep our mind alert. So for me, it wasn't even a question. It was an automatic. And then within, I think it was 2.5 years, because I was at the gym pretty much every day, that Ryan, my son, and his business partner asked me if I would head up the cardio kickboxing program. And I, of course, was nervous at first, but really enjoyed it, and I enjoy to break things down. So I was really quite happy that I built a bit of a following because of that. So what are you finding? And as you said, I know that you've done, different activities, but certainly the martial arts was probably a little bit intimidating at first. What did you find with regards to that in comparison to some of the other activities you've done?
Well, I think for me, one of the biggest things that was appealing with martial arts is first the fact that I was put into a context where I had no control over what I was doing. literally no control in the first few months. I found that instead of finding that intimidating, I found there was a sense of release in it. And I think because it allowed me to understand that certain things you cannot control. However, if you work at it, you will find yourself improving. And so for martial arts, I think for me was that every time I came into a 45-minute to an hour class, there was little challenges for me to be able to conquer, whether it was, okay, let's work on your abs, or can you hold it for 10 seconds longer? And the fact that it was such a minimal but yet focused challenge for me was very intriguing, because in contrast to the rest of my life, which was very big and long, and there was longevity in all of the challenges that we had, it was very refreshing. I find martial arts intriguing because there's always room to change. I find it intriguing because it is very much of a self-challenge. It's not, because I'm not a fighter, of course, I do this strictly for fitness. I find that it's always trying to challenge yourself, and I really appreciate that. I also love the conceptual part of that. For me, it was a sense of a relief. It gave me almost a meditative state at some times when you're you're challenged so much to a point where you almost need to turn the brain off and just understand the process of that. And for me, it related quite closely to my art practice as well. I mean, at some point you just have to let things go and let that environment take over. And I think those small parallels for me was very interesting. Although, also getting a bit fit, finding your skin improving, and all of those were also another nice little perks along the way.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny that you say that because, and as I said, I mean, I've worked out and I've done every kind of sport that you can imagine. Certainly have not seen the kind of results that I've seen with martial arts. It really does define your body. It really slims your body out. It really tones your body. It's just amazing of what it does and the strength that it builds. And of course, as I've said before, as we age and, you know, our bones become brittle and, you know, our muscles start to really lean out. If you don't do something that's intense, that will get that muscle tone and that will also help your bones, you will wind up with having, you know, fractures and things of those nature. So, you know, I think that having the martial arts, I've just never seen my body look so fit in my life. And so, Tomoki, what are you finding?
In regards to fitness and the results that I'm finding it from head to toe. Mind, body, soul, definitely. I mean, like I said, I wasn't expecting much, which now looking back at it, I'm actually quite thankful because I don't think I had any expectations. I think I just grew into this organically. Exactly the same with our relationship. But it's nice to have the results physically because then it makes you feel confident, it makes you feel stronger, and then it has a huge impact on your state of mind. And when your mind is sound and it's at a place of peace, then your heart can open up and your soul could then be a bit more generous than if it's confined and stressed and held. So all of that release is a cycle that I finally, after a year and a half, have genuinely experienced. And I think I'm at a point where I am no longer fighting the challenges. And when I say challenges, even the context of the gym, I don't think I fight it. I actually embrace it and I welcome it. So looking back at it, Aggie, I'm very thankful that I met the gym and in turn had met you. And I just want to say thank you for giving me that sense of kindness to say things are going to be okay. Do the best you can and let things happen. And I'm I'm very appreciative because I do believe that certain people come into your life and have an impact. And I'm very glad that I made the best use of our relationship. And I'm excited to see where it grows from here.
And I thank you for sharing today. And I look forward to the many more years that we have together. Thank you.